Alright, hi everyone, welcome to part 1 of 5. We're going to be playing all the animations in Fire Emblem Warriors, and we're going to try to restrict ourselves, at least for this episode, to the characters that you were restricted to, because I know that the majority of players will find this to be the very first animation they ever encounter, and in order to unlock Anna, you have to beat this mission. That being said, you don't need an S rank to beat it, but if you, most of the time the struggle is actually making your way to the end, and survivability tends to be an issue, and some people are also concerned about damage output. Now, we're going to be aiming for an S rank this time around, but it's because we have the endgame equipment that it was designed for. So with that in mind, I'm going to make the assumption that most people that are watching this will have at most like a 5-star silver weapon and maybe 2 master seals invested into their characters. And on the flip side, these videos that we're going to be watching is going to be me showcasing some of my favorite pairings for units in Fire Emblem Warriors, so there will be no channel padding. There's all going to be 3 birds and 1 stone. Also, this particular episode, I highly recommend it to people that have just started playing this game, or they're on the fence about getting this game. They're prospective players that are very intimidated by all the stuff that's going on, and this is kind of my way of showing them kind of how map control essentially works in a game like this. It's actually not as complicated as one would think, so yeah, definitely don't worry too much about not knowing enough, because we're all new sometimes at the beginning of things. So the units that you will be restricted to this time around are Liana and Rowan, as well as all of the characters from Fire Emblem Warriors. So that's Frederick, Lissa, Cordelia, Chrom, Robin, and Lucina. And Robin and Lucina will be the main characters of this. I'm going to assume that at least one of these characters will have the Master Seal. This is, not necessarily a requirement in and of itself, it's just that we will be using the combos that are granted by upgrading your units extensively throughout this entire video. As well, the main concern that a lot of people have is survivability and damage. In terms of survivability, I recommend almost as a requirement actually for doing this, because even if you just want to beat this with an A rank, I highly recommend investing in at least 3 levels of your defense crests for every category that's featured here. So there's going to be tome users, bow users, axe users, and spear users. So keep that in mind. Otherwise, the setup we're going to be running with for one of my favorite pairings is, for Lucina, I want to give her Luna to capitalize on her high luck stat, Solidarity because we'll be switching and pairing up. General rule of thumb, you should be pairing up everyone, there's no reason not to, it's a huge damage boost overall. And giving her Astra so we can help things chug along at a faster pace. Trample, since most of the people we'll be fighting against are foot soldiers. Awakening, since that's her passive skill. Her main skill. And Strength plus 10 to just give a little bit more of a damage boost. Same thing goes for Robin. We're actually going to give her Skill and Magic plus 10, since those are her 2 highest stats. I'm giving her Armored Blows because her animations tend to be fairly lengthy, and obviously I don't want to be interrupted during that. We're going to try our best not to get hit, though. Then Trample, Astra, and Solidarity. Generally speaking, for most people that are looking to increase their damage, Solidarity and Astra are going to be the main moves you want to be getting, because you'll be attacking faster, and you'll be getting more damage when you are pairing up people. Now, another thing to look out for when controlling the map on this particular mission is to have a physical attacker kind of establishing a presence here. So what you can do is just have Frederick, Chrom, Rowan, Liana, any of those people you can, and then use them. Make sure they're physical attackers, since most of the people you will be encountering will have resistance to magic with most of the more tanky enemies, so we'll keep that in mind. Now, in terms of the actual strategy, and for people that are newer to these kinds of games, you want to look at the map in any given situation from a priority standpoint. So your first priority is to get captains, because these are the people that actually influence the flow of the map, like who controls fortresses and such. Obviously, they do take a bit of time, but it's well worth the time invested, just because, getting captains out of the way will make sure that you don't lose your fortresses, or that your captains themselves don't get hurt. So you'll actually dominate the map fairly easily using this. And in terms of this actual pair-up, the general thing you want to do is build up as much of that meter as possible. Beneath Robin's portrait, you'll see a little meter that charges up whenever she does attacks, whenever she attacks enemies. You want to make sure it's full as often as you can. Usually it would take 2 combos of either a combo 5, which is 4 regular attacks and a strong attack, or a combo 6, which is 5 regular attacks followed by a strong. And when you do that, you can use the strong attack to burn your meter, and then create what's known as a stun gauge. Now, the stun gauge that you generate from this one is going to be very good because you can switch back into Lucina and capitalize it. So you see this, switch into Lucina, juggle, and then that's a free yellow gauge for her. That's why they work so well together, is because, like, Lucina, being a sword user, has very baseline weaknesses. Like, there's going to be her weakness to spear users, but because we're pairing her up with a tome user, we completely circumvent that. Yeah, otherwise, now, well, let's talk about captains for a bit. Now, the thing about captains is that particularly for when you're just starting out, you might find that you're not doing as much damage as you want to, which is perfectly normal. It's not necessarily because you're underleveled, it's not necessarily because you are under-equipped or under-skilled. Actually, the main way of beating people, or beating captains, is to use your warrior gauge, as you'll see over here. We're actually going to run our way in, and then burn this. Dual warrior specials are going to be your main way of winning. This applies to every difficulty, but when you're playing late game maps like the one we're playing right now, you want to make sure you're always in a position to use a dual warrior special, because this is going to be your main source of damage. So I highly recommend, in terms of upgrades, to have at least 2 bars of warrior gauge to work with. That way you're never scrambling to refill your meters at times. Okay, let's see. Yeah, we'll just finish this guy off, and we'll make our way to the next objective. It's very important to always be looking at your map to show which objectives need to be seen. If you see, like, the slightly darker circles on the map, then those are captains that you need to look for. Okay. This should be it. Now, Lucina's combo 5 is very good. Like, it instantly breaks almost all stun gauges, and it also has guard break properties, so, like, feel free to spam that as much as you need to. So, as you see over here... Oh, wait, no, we got interrupted. But yeah, that would have been a break if the enemy let me attack, or finish the attack. Otherwise, yeah, the combo 6 also works pretty well as well. It has a nice animation to it, catches a lot of people. But yeah, part of the reason why you want to have Astra, though, is that you want to constantly be attacking things so that you're building meter much faster. The main factor to preventing people from getting an A rank or an S rank on this map is that they're not building enough meter quick enough. It's usually the time that gets in the way. Like, anyone can get 2,000 KOs, no problem. Even if they're just speeding past the map, it shouldn't be an issue. But, yeah, like, damage is going to be a thing. Like, as long as you don't have past 80% damage on your map, like, you can actually check. So when you pause the map, you actually look at the requirements for achieving an S rank. So as long as you're able to keep an eye on that, you should be okay. Let's see. So I mentioned earlier that dual warrior specials are going to be your main source of damage. And it's because you even see here, Anna, it would probably take 2 combos no matter how high your damage setup is. So, like, it's always worth burning meter. It's better that you burn meter and then spend time building your warrior gauge on your way to the next objective than it is just to spend a lot of time wailing away on a single captain and then not making much use of that when you're having a surplus of warrior gauge. So that's one of the nice things about warrior games, is that there's a lot of decision making involved. And another thing too that you want to look at is the fact that when it comes to playing Warriors games, or Fire Emblem Warriors, you can actually direct people. You can actually direct people on your map, including the person you're playing as right now, so you can maximize your time. I'm really looking forward to seeing what the developers come up with for capitalizing on your ability to, like, have various parts of a map to be under your control. So, we'll see. That's part of the reason why I like these endgame maps so much. Okay, so there's going to be an objective here. Now, even if you're failing constantly at doing a challenge like this one, like, it's important to take note of where things happen. It's pretty easy to remember for most people, but it bears repeating since it's actually a very important part of knowing how to succeed. Because obviously you need to learn from your mistakes if you want to, you know, do better. So, like, you have to know where, like, objectives are going to pop up so that you can save more time. And so you see over here, what I'm going to do is that I know that I killed the sage, and these barriers around this area are now going to go down. So we're going to direct Lucina to do some damage over here. And I'm going to switch over to Lissa because our base is in danger right now. The nice thing about Lissa is that she is a healer. This means that if I make any mistakes or if I'm not aware of what's happening on the map, I can switch to Lissa and then heal whatever damage was done by the enemy in that time span. So Lissa's a very beginner-friendly character in that regard, because if your base is in danger, you can just have her there. She can kind of babysit the fortress. It's always nice to have these options. Alright, I think this should be it. Also, think about Lissa, she has really high magic damage. If you run a topsy-turvy build, she has, like, she's tied for the highest damage of an axe user. Okay, I'm gonna wait for this. Not to mention that, like, since you have so many people to take care of in this map, it's actually not that difficult to obtain the 2000 KOs required for the S rank. But again, I'm assuming that most people might not necessarily have the highest damage output, so even if you were able to do things flawlessly without getting damaged, like, I feel that a lot of people would still have issues with, like, time, for example. So yeah. Okay, now we're gonna switch back to Lucina. See, we've already optimized our time. Okay, we're gonna actually spend some time here building up some meter before things start. Okay. So yeah, doing a combo 6 builds up a lot of meter, and should be instant break. Yeah, instant break for combos or criticals. Yeah, and we're full up on meter, that's great. We're gonna switch over here, and as soon as we're going in, we have to line them up so that Valadar and the Fort Captain are in the same range of a warrior special. And here we go. Once you do this, you're able to get everyone. It's a really great way of saving time, and it does a lot of damage. There's a very valid and viable reason to have your playstyle revolve around using dual warrior specials. And just so you guys know, warrior specials scale with your skill stat, actually. They scale with skill stat, so if you're looking for characters and you want to gauge how powerful they are, it doesn't hurt to look at what their skill stat is. Alrighty. So, now, I've already played this before, but for most people that are wondering how to get past this part can be very time consuming, because we have to fight against 4 shadows that are all across the map. Now, if you only have a finite amount of powerful units in your roster, then it's okay to just use that unit to go around the entire map looking for the shadows that we'll be fighting against. But if not, then one thing you can do is just direct one of your units to fight against one while you take care of the remaining. So we're gonna wait for this cutscene to finish up. Also, what's gonna happen, Robin's gonna one-shot both of these guys. Oh, never mind. I have to build up that meter again. To aim that a little bit better. There we go. So he's gonna one-shot that person. The reason why is because I have the Plate Slayer attribute on her weapon. The thing about Slayer attributes is that they give a damage penalty to your weapon when you have them, but the trade-off is that you get massive damage to certain kinds of units. With Tome users, they actually don't care about the damage loss because they're constantly triggering critical strikes anyway, so it's very useful to have. And the thing about Robin is that he or she has the ability to create that beam to trigger the critical gauges, and it usually ends up in a one-shot if it's the unit that Plate Slayer procs against. So yeah. Like, if you are into using Tome users, definitely look into getting a Mount Slayer or Wing Slayer. Wing Slayer would be very, very good for them because flyers tend to be resistant against magic. But yeah. Okay, so then there's gonna be another Robin here. I'm just gonna burn the meter, because there's 3 of them. There's 3 of them, and, like, you could just fight them, make use of Lucina's ability to take advantage of axe users and then keep the shadow inside of all of that stun when she's doing her AoE critical strike. But honestly, it's better for time purposes just to do this. Okay, so is he still fighting the shadow? Okay, there's Sage. And... okay, so we're gonna have Frederick do that over there while we... actually, we're gonna direct Lucina. We're gonna spend more time with action. Okay, I'm gonna replace Frederick now. Okay, here we go. So the nice thing about Frederick, actually, Fire Emblem Warriors characters in general, if you get people into a corner, you can actually stun them indefinitely with your combo 4, and then follow it up with a break. So, I'll show you what I mean over here. So you see we trigger the stun gauge, and we're gonna go combo 4 him. So yeah, that's the nice thing about like fighting against captains as well. Even if you don't have the massive damage output, you can just take advantage of their moveset to stun them, and they can't do any damage to you. So that's another thing you should use to your advantage if you can. And also remember, pairing up's very important. Also, like, Frederick just does a lot of damage. He's not even, like, terribly optimized this time around, but his damage output is very good. Axe users in general, like, if you're into, like, getting into Fire Emblem Warriors for the first time, I highly recommend investing in Axe users, because they're all very good in their own way. Okay, so we're gonna have Frederick, I guess, play around here for a bit, and we're gonna switch back to the stars of the show. Oh, we have to build meter for Robin. Okay, come on. Okay, this should be a kill. Remember, always switch back to Lucina when you're going to do your dual warrior specials against the shadows, because the shadows have high resistance to magic. And if you use Robin to do the dual warrior special, then that means you're going to they're going to be using a magic special on them, and that's going to be like maybe 2 combos that you'll have to burn. Again, like, we're making pretty good time as it is, so probably don't even have to worry about that. Okay. Whoops. Let's finish off this guy while Lucina's doing some work. Alright, and now what we're going to do next is we're going to, okay, well, Lucina's making her way there, so I guess we'll just clean up the rest of the forts. Because we got time. Because how much time do we have? Yeah, we only have 3 minutes before the deadline for the S rank. So that's plenty of time for us. But again, remember, if you're doing this for the first time, I fully do not expect that you're going to get an S rank on your first try. Like, still could. I totally buy it if people could. It's just that, like, generally speaking, most people would be a little bit under-equipped. They might be under-leveled or under-skilled for skill crests and stuff like that. So, yeah, don't worry about it too much when that happens. It's just take full advantage of the combat triangle at every chance that you get. You see here I'm fighting against a sword user, but I'm pairing him with a spear user to patch that up. So that's the thing though, like, there's no reason to not pair people up. It's just, it's too useful to pass up. Like, you're giving them damage, you're giving them bonus stats, you're fixing up the combat triangle for them. It's all good. All good. Not to mention that pairing them up also increases supports. When you increase supports, you get materials which can translate into getting skill crests for your people. So yeah, no reason not to, guys. Like, that's gonna be the key to winning. Like, as cheesy as it is to say that friendship's the answer, but dude, friendship's the answer. Okay, so now we're just gonna finish things off by going into Awakening mode. This just completely breaks the game, and I love it. I'll tell you that. We're not even going to try. We're just going to infinite Robin into a corner here. So you see this. And then just going to kind of loop. So we're doing a combo 4, 3 attacks followed by regular. And then combo 5. And then she's dead. Robin's completely dead. She would have taken a lot longer if we didn't do this either. But that's basically it though. Like, for those of you guys that are wondering, the thing about the Anna missions is that they were tailored specifically toward people with endgame setups like the one that you saw just now. But the thing is, like, they're completely doable, albeit at longer times. I think the first time it took me, 25 minutes. I beat it on my first try, but it took me very close to half an hour just to get everything done. So remember, if you want to win this, you have to have a lot of defense crests packed into the characters you'll be using. Otherwise, you're gonna get one shot, you're gonna get two shot, and that's just gonna make your life a lot harder. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this. This is the first showcase for also one of my favorite pairings, Robin and Lucina. Very effective by themselves, but almost unstoppable on their own. And next time, we're going to be doing the Fire Emblem Fates History Mode animation. And the thing is, though, I've already done the Corrin guide doing that specific mission, so we're not going to be using Corrin for that one, but we're going to be using a special pairing, one that I particularly enjoy, so I hope you guys stay tuned to see that. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you next time. Take care.
素晴らしいですね。